would you say is, because you mentioned in one of the podcasts before that comedians, and I think all of us have an ego to a degree,
Yeah,
but there's quite a number of us that have egos to the point where it overmatches our skill level.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
So how do you say is a point for someone to assess themselves and be aware of themselves?
I think it's always it's do gigs that are challenging. So I think if you're doing the same gigs and you're getting very resentful that you're doing the same gigs, there's a part of you that I think there's part of you that you're doing those same gigs because you know you can do well at those gigs. But if you're just going to be doing those same gigs, you're not going to progress. So I think you need to try and put yourself in a position where you're doing just different types of gigs. So one, you'll end up exposing yourself to different eyes who may actually provide you with different opportunity. But what you also do is you put yourself in front of different audiences that will give you a reality check that you're probably not as good as you think you are. So I've been at gigs where I think the crowd is rubbish. The crowd, I've gone on, I've done my 10, 15 minutes, and like, the crowd's dead. They're not really up for it. I've seen another comedian go, the crowd's dead. So I knew the crowd was dead. Then the headliner comes, and the headliner's not famous, but they are just an experienced, like, touring comedian. And they've been doing it for 15 years. And they come and then they absolutely destroy the room. And then I'm just like, oh, maybe the crowd weren't rubbish. Maybe. So that kind of shows me that, maybe it's just me then. Maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. And I need to work on that. That I am now the guy who enters the room that everyone's dying in and the crowd are rubbish and it's too hot or it's too cold or the mic's
Ah,
rubbish or the lights too, all these things these are the reasons why I didn't do well tonight. And I just walk into the room and it's actually like, no, the crowd are now in hysterics. And it doesn't matter who the crowd are. No one can come off stage and go, oh, it's because, the crowd, of course, the crowd are going to like you because of X. It's just simply, no, I'm good at my job and I've worked hard at it and I'm actually good rather than just thinking I'm good and being resentful that I'm not getting
yes, yes, and that's
opportunities.
and what do you think? What do you think has enabled you? What have you noticed from like? Because you've gigged from levels of like with the really top tier to the middle tier to the bottom
Yeah,
tier, and you can
yeah,
see the differences between the different
yeah.
comedians. What have you noticed about each sort of level of comic?
So I'd say that we start from bottom to top. So
Okay.
lowest level comedian, it'll be the things that will hold them back will be simply experience, just haven't just gigged enough. So when they become stuck, so for example, they tell them what they think is their best joke, the crowd doesn't laugh, they panic because they're in their head. They go, I'm going to say my 5 minutes of jokes or my 10 minutes of jokes, and this is where people laugh. And when they don't, it's this kind of, oh no, I'm lost. They haven't laughed that bit. I'm not funny. They can see I'm a fraud. And you can literally see in their eyes that it's like deer in headlights, like I'm having a meltdown. Oh no. So, and they don't have anything to get out of that. So it's like a lack of experience, and whether that's experience of gigging in different places or different crowds or whatever. Um, and sometimes even before they get on stage, they psych themselves out. They think too much. They'll focus on the oddest thing in the crowd. Of that's the gig's not going to go well. Like it's hard if they don't like that person who's just gone on because they think that person's funny. Or they're not going to find out. They're not going to find me funny. And so they, if anything, the new person, their worst enemies themselves, kind of thing. But it's all very overcomable. Then in the middle, um, I guess the thing about the middle people is the ones who've had a taste, a little bit of success, they almost have too much arrogance. They've had a taste of it. So because they've gigged at like a comedy store or a top secret a few times, they then talk to everyone below them as if I've been doing this for ages. It's like you haven't. You've been doing it for like 4.5 years, and well done. You've got on stage at Top Secret. Shut up. It's like, but they'll talk to people in a way that is they'll talk down to them So their issue is their arrogance. And I guess that's if I was picking the levels, that's the level I'm in, is that middle stage. But I feel like I don't have, well, I'm always checking that I don't have that arrogance when I go on stage or when I'm talking to people, when I'm talking to a new comedian. I think also in that middle stage as well, they're so focused on getting to the next level that they almost become a bit cutthroat and a bit just a bit not nice, really. So, you know, it's like you speak to them backstage and they want to know who you are and can they use you as a stepping stone to get somewhere, or if you're someone worth talking to. So they'll speak to you, like, oh, what's your name? Cool. And then they want to know, it's like they're almost there's certain things in their head that are waiting for you to say that will make them go, oh, you're someone worth talking to. So if you've got X amount of followers on social media, or that you've got a TV credit, or you tour with this person, what if they hear that, then they're suddenly like, oh, you're actually someone worth talking to. You're someone I respect now, because you've said you know the key words I was looking for. But but if they see, a lot of times I've had that where, you know, they've seen me, they're talking to me and they're like, oh, I haven't seen you about, and then they don't really know who I am. Fine, I'll go on stage and let's say it goes well on stage, and oh yeah, cool, you're like really funny, and then it's still a kind of standoffish kind of thing. They don't know me, and then maybe we talk about where we've gigged, and then I'll say places where I've gigged, and then they'll suddenly be like, oh, wait, so what's your name again? And it's like, no, it's like, I'm now going to start listening to what you're saying. So that's what I find the middle guys, they're like that. And then the top guys, they're the most interesting ones to me, because they're the ones that you think would have that arrogance. They don't. You'd think they'd only talk to people that can give them something. No, like they are just so much more open, and I think that's where it comes from, a confidence and a calmness of, maybe just being happy with where they are. Yeah. So like, I remember meeting Alan Carr backstage on a gig. And basically it was a gig I was doing where they didn't say who the headliner is. They don't mention who the headliner is to the audience. It's just a surprise headliner. So I didn't know who the headliner was until maybe a minute before the show, and then the guy organised going, oh, by the way, it's Alan Carr. So it was like, oh, okay. I was like, wow, it's Alan Carr. And then he came in, and he's just so down to earth and similar to every other big comedian I've met, where they come into the room, they look you in your face, and they go, hello, I'm Alan. And then you know, you're there laughing, going, you know, I know who you are. Like, why are you saying you're Alan? It's like, oh, I'm Alan. What's your name? And they want to know about you. They want to know. Oh, so how long have you been gigging for? And oh, brilliant. And how are the crowds? And they talk to you in a way that makes you go, oh, we're on the same level here. We're not, but you're talking to me like we are. And so I've always tried to take that going forward now, where now whenever I turn up to a gig, because I know I am not that level that Alan Carr is, or any other big actor I've gigged with, I then go, right, if they can talk to other people like human beings, then I really should make the extra effort to talk to the person who's done 5 gigs and they're bricking it. They don't really know what to say, to go, hey, you know, chill out, it's fine, you'll be fine, just have fun, and try to pass that down.
That's an interesting point that you brought there, because I had what's it called, an LA composer on the podcast, and he spoke to all sorts of celebrities and all these famous people, and I chat with him, and he said one of the reasons for maybe why some of these people got really famous is because they're like what you said there, rather than them acting like that.
Yeah, I think there's authenticity about certain people, where people like them, because I imagine there's going to be top performing acts and celebrities who are just almost you know, sociopathic and they just know, I'll just make friends with this person and I'll use them for this, then I can go here, jump here, use them for that. But think to what end? Because that's a lot of effort to maintain that. Whereas if you can make it through the world just being yourself and just being genuine, then I imagine that's a much easier journey
Ah,
to take if you're more genuine.
do you think that might be part? Would you think it's possibility part of why some of them are having problems later in life because they feel guilty or there's all these weights of some of the things they've done to get to that level?
I
Some of the
think so.
stories you hear about
Yeah,
celebrities.
definitely. And I think that, and I think also when you build something on a foundation that's not authentic, it lacks integrity. Even if you just think about what the word integrity means, like in the sense of, if a building has integrity, it means it's going to stand, it's going to withstand different weather and different things, right? Like if a bike has integrity, the wheels aren't going to bend, the spokes aren't going to break, the gears aren't going to fall apart. It's true to itself. Um, it serves the purpose where it's meant to serve. So if you build something without integrity, it's going to start falling apart at some point. And the bigger you get, is the more weight you're going to put on it. So if we use the analogy of a table, and if you build a table with integrity, it might not be the best looking table, but if you build with integrity and it is what it is, then certain people start putting things on the table. They'll start using the table and be like, okay, this table seems like quite a good table, it's quite sturdy. We'll start putting more things on it. But if you build a table without integrity, but you make it look a very nice table, people start using it, it's going to start falling apart eventually, this table, and it's going to fall apart either when there's a few things on it, or like you said, when they become a big celebrity and there's loads of things on the table, and then it falls apart, and then we're all there to watch it. We're all there to watch the absolute mess and carnage of, of when it all falls apart. So yeah.
And you mentioned something there that's a very good point. I mean, what you said there, when you say you chat to someone and you say this and that, and then they only remember your name when you say you've done this and that. That is like the perfect example of finding out who someone is.
Yeah,
If you're a waiter, there's a quote in it. If you're a waiter or if you're this and that, you're the perfect person to see who someone is. So I mean,
yeah,
it's a good technique, I think, for any comedian out there, even if they are doing well,
yeah,
just to never mention it and just see how they act to you.
yeah. No, definitely, because I think it's like I always made a rule to myself that whenever I enter a room, like if it's a green room, I always say hello to everyone in the room. I don't just say hello just to the comedians, because I've seen that before where people enter a green room and they just say, well, I know they're a comedian, I know they're a comedian, so I'll say hello. And then someone else will talk to you. You'll say something like, yeah, because I'm second on. And then they go, oh, you're a comedian. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll talk to you then. And it's like, fine. Like, but I was always a human being. I was always in this room. Like, and for all they know, I could have been a casting director. I'm not a comedian. I could have been a casting director. I could have given them an opportunity. They would have wanted to speak to me. I could have been writing something, or it is, and that's not a reason for you to speak to someone because they can give you something. But the point I'm making is their reason for talking to me was because they wanted something out of me, or they wanted some respect, or they wanted to know whether they needed to respect me or not. So even if you was approaching it in a way where you just wanted to use people, it's actually a bad technique to not actually just talk to everyone. And if you're actually just trying to be a decent person, then it's actually good just to talk to everyone in the room anyway. So